Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The Museum of Polish History has been officially opened today at the Warsaw Citadel. The ceremony was attended by representatives of the highest state authorities. This is now the largest museum facility in Poland. Polish President Andrzej Duda said that the dream of the late President Lech Kaczynski, for whom the creation of a museum nurturing the memory of Polish history was a priority, had finally come true.
Although the Museum of Polish History was established in 2006, only now, after 17 years, has it found a building to house all the art and artifacts collected by the museum. Polish history, we are proud of it. This is a very important thing, but at the same time, history is sometimes a subject of dispute. History unites us, but sometimes also divides us. We would like this place to be the subject of our pride, the story of our great achievements, but also a place of dialogue and sometimes dispute. I have had this very deep feeling today since I entered this monumental building. President Professor Lech Kaczynski should be standing here in front of you. It was his dream. It was his idea that such a museum of Polish history like this one should be built. Today, at last, we can tell the story of our ancestors, of their often convoluted fates of heroic and tragic decisions, of falls and victories, of achievements, which with a sense of responsibility we continue. This is a story about the strength of community, about freedom and solidarity, about the values from which Poland grew and continues to grow, which are special and universal at the same time. A truly told history, especially the history of Poland, is not only a reason to be proud, but above all, a weapon to fight for a strong Poland, for a better future of the Polish Republic. And looking at it this way, one should ask oneself, why, as the director said, was this museum being created here for as long as 17 years? Why such a long time? One could say longer than the duration of Free Poland. Why so much time had to pass for this place, so important for all Polish people, to be created? During the years of the Civic Platform and Polish People's Party governments, no one wanted to finance this investment. However, this changed in 2015, when Law and Justice took over. And I was at the founding of this institution. In 2006, the Museum of Polish History was established as an institution when I was the Deputy Minister of Culture and National Heritage in the first Law and Justice government. Then, unfortunately, the power that followed froze this project for a long 8 years. Nothing actually happened in the investment sense, and it was not until 2015 that this investment started back up. We found the funds, we found the place, we found the architectural design, and in 2018, realistically, the construction of the largest investment in the history of the Ministry of Culture and National Heritage, including the pre-war history, began. This is the essence of the state's cultural activities, for these kinds of large institutions to exist. The fact that after 1989, the country was not able to create new cultural institutions or fund other remaining ones showed the stagnation and lack of vision. Today, we are putting it into use for Warsaw residents, for the residents of the region, but overall for all Poles, because this is where schools from all over Poland will come on trips organized by the Ministry of Education. Poles will have the opportunity to taste Polish history at its best, in the most modern version, and at the same time, they will have the opportunity to experience real history, and this is wonderful. During the opening of the Museum of Polish History, visitors will be able to take part in debates, special film screenings, and concerts. Aleksander Wojak, TV Republika.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg assess the progress of Ukraine's counteroffensive against Russian forces during an unannounced visit to Kiev today. At a joint press conference with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy, the NATO chief said Ukrainians are fighting for freedom and Russians for Putin's imperial delusions. Jens Stoltenberg announced that NATO now had framework contracts in place with arms companies worth €2.4 billion for key ammunition, including €1 billion in firm orders.
Today, your forces are moving forward. They face fierce fighting, but they are gradually gaining ground. Every meter that Ukrainian forces regains is a meter that Russia loses. And there is a stark contrast. Ukrainians are fighting for their families, their future, their freedom. Moscow is fighting for imperial delusions. Today, I can confirm that NATO now has framework contracts in place for €2.4 billion worth of key ammunition, including €1 billion of firm orders. This covers capabilities like 155mm artillery, anti-tank guided missiles, and main battle tank ammunition. This will help allies to refill their stocks while continuing to support Ukraine.
Stoltenberg also condemned Russian strikes near Ukraine's border with NATO member Romania. He said there was no evidence such strikes were a deliberate attack on Romania, but branded them reckless and destabilizing. Today we are already talking as de facto allies. It is only a matter of time when Ukraine will become a member of the alliance de jure as well. We are doing everything to make it happen as soon as possible, announced Zelenskiy during the joint press conference with Stoltenberg. Today we discussed defence from Russian terror. Last night Russian terrorists used more than 40 Shahed drones, and this happens almost every night. Under such huge attacks against Ukrainians, our cities, our ports, which are important for global food security, a certain level of intense pressure on Russia is needed, and strengthening of our air defence is needed. We separately discussed expected Russian attacks on the Ukrainian critical infrastructure. We discussed deliveries of what we need. Indeed, deliveries of additional air defence systems by member states. Several people were killed in an attack by a gunman who opened fire in a university lecture hall in the Dutch port city of Rotterdam. A 32-year-old suspect was arrested after police reported on social media that shots were fired at the Erasmus Medical Centre in Rotterdam and a nearby building. Fires broke out at both locations. Videos posted online show police instructing students to run outside as armed emergency services arrived on the scene. Dutch police report that people have been killed, but do not specify the number. Earlier it had been reported that at least 2 people were wounded in the shooting. Eyewitness footage recorded from a window showed the aftermath of the shooting, with emergency services treating a victim and a building engulfed in smoke. Sir Michael Gambon, the British stage and film actor best known for his role as Professor Albus Dumbledore in 6 of the 8 Harry Potter films, has died at the age of 82. Gambon died peacefully in hospital, PA Media reported, citing a family statement. Gambon began his acting on the stage in the early 1960s and later moved into television and film. Notable film roles include a psychotic mob leader in Peter Greenaway's The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover in 1989 and the elderly King George V in Tom Hooper's The King's Speech in 2010. But his best-known role was as Dumbledore in the Harry Potter franchise, a role he took over from the 3rd instalment in the 8-movie series after he replaced the late Richard Harris in 2004. Gambon was a winner of 4 BAFTAs, 3 Olivier Awards and 2 Ensemble Cast Screen Actors Guild Awards. He retired from the stage in 2015 after suffering long-term memory problems, but continued to act on screen until 2019. Gambon married Anne Miller in 1962 and the couple had a son. While they never divorced, in later years he also had another partner, set designer Philippa Hart, 25 years his junior, with whom he had 2 children. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.